here again. Another week, another show. This time, we're here to talk about movies. So we spoke about books last week, and we had so much fun doing that we thought, you're probably not interested, but we're interested to talk about it, talking about what our favorite movies are. So me being the host, I have the right and the privilege of going last. So you guys get to embarrass yourselves before me. And I'll make the qualification on behalf of everybody here. Get that movies are personal. So your favorites may not be my favorites may not be your favorites. And I take no responsibility for anybody who disagrees, is offended, or is scandalized by the movies that I am going to recommend. So,
if that's the case, I'm going to change my list. I'm going to get all my X-rated movies in there.
No, I think I was very responsible. I had a lot of fun doing it. I dug through, and I went to the movie cabinet. So I was thinking about going through the Netflix and the Amazon, and I thought, no, I'm going to go open the movie cabinet. I'm going to pull out all the old DVDs that we don't use, and I'm going to get some nice, wholesome movies that I'm going to share with you. But I think here, Tam has the privilege of going first, being a lady. So, Tam, what movies would you like to recommend and talk about today?
Okay, so the first one would be the Gran Torino.
Gran Torino.
Wow, a powerful opener there.
I know. Well, I better start really, really strong, and it covers quite a few boxes for me because it's got a lot of action, a little bit of violence. I don't mind, not too much. But I just like Clint Eastwood in this one. He's very, very good, and he directed it himself. It's one of my favourites. I think it's up there with everybody's. Really,
Tam, you cool chick. I'm surprised.
I know.
That's like such a strong opening.
Thanks.
Like,
I wouldn't have guessed it. I was thinking, the Song of Bernadette or something. No, Gran Torino.
Gran Torino. Oh, that's awesome. Charge on.
But I'll let myself down now. My next favourite. Can I have three?
I've got three.
Right. So the next one is The Big Country. Gregory
Peck.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever actually seen it, but give me a synopsis. Hang on. Let's quickly give us your three movies and then just run through them all briefly in like a minute or less as to what they're about. So,
okay. Well, I can tell you about this one right now.
Yeah, go for it. Okay,
so he's a New Englander. He arrives into the Old West, and he gets kind of like embroiled in a feud with a couple of other families. One of the families, and it's over really about a patch of land that has water, and it has some great fight scenes. It's got beautiful music. It's a classical tale of like good triumphs over evil. And yeah, I think it's a really, really good movie.
Okay.
And there's obviously the love aspect. There's a bit of romance in there. Okay, so the next one, the third one it's a BBC adaptation of, the Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, yeah. Colin Firth. I've seen it.
And it's got Colin Firth,
No, we don't know. No, it's probably the best version of it, isn't it?
It is. Yeah. I think it's probably the best one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I was to just put another one, when I want to feel a good movie and I want to sing along, Calamity Jane. That's all I'm going to say. That's my list. Over to you.
You've covered it all. You've gone from Gran Torino to Calamity Jane. Yeah, but all these people know how to draw a pistol, so I'm sort of sensing a bit of a trend there.
There's a bit of a sort of Western cowgirl sort of theme going on.
That's me.
I like it. And just for the uneducated that haven't had the honor and the privilege of having seen Gran Torino, what is Gran Torino about?
Well, it's a story about these. I can't actually say the name of the people that come over there, but they're basically after the Korean War. There are a lot of veterans. He is a veteran, obviously. And Walt Young's neighbour is a guy called Tao Vang, and he's into, I think they're called Nongs. I can't remember exactly. But basically, this young kid is kind of threatened by his local community, and he has to go and steal the Gran Torino. But of course, Clint Eastwood intercepts him, and it's about their relationship and what happens after that. I don't really want to go into too much detail, but you've got the Catholic aspect of that. And I think for me, I'm not going to do a spoiler alert, but the end is fantastic. It's unique. It's something that only Clint Eastwood I think probably would have. A very sad twist, also a very happy twist.
Yeah, it's interesting because are either of you familiar, or do you follow Bishop Robert Barron at all? I definitely would not.
Word on fire.
I wouldn't recommend his theology necessarily, but look, he's very trendy, very media savvy Bishop, and he does great movie reviews.
Tom, I had you up here. Now you're down here.
Awesome. For the purpose of this episode, I'm just going to run with it. Point being, his favorite movie is Gran Torino. So there you go. Okay. Whether or not you intended that or not, you've just thrown yourself into a partnership with Bishop Robert Barron, both your favorite movies being Gran Torino. But the second point I wanted to make was Clint Eastwood. I've sort of noticed a theme with a number of his other movies that I've seen. Once again, I'm not recommending them, but Gran Torino, $1 Million Baby. I've noticed in a few of them, that's the one about the boxer that he coaches. And that also has a really sad, depressing ending where it sort of throws you into an ethical dilemma. And with Gran Torino, it's him trying to help the poor people out. And with $1 Million Baby, it's what to do with the boxer. He trains this boxer. She falls over. It's a female boxer. So not sure how comfortable you are with female boxers, but if you can come to terms with that, she gets injured in this horrific, she gets this horrific injury. She's on life support and she's sort of in this vegetative state. Not quite. She's alive, but she's bedridden and in this horrible state for the rest of her life. And it's this ethical dilemma of, does he put her out of her misery, or does he value the sanctity of life and see past the immediate suffering? And unfortunately, he helps her sort of, I think you'd call it assisted suicide, which sort of left a bad taste in my mouth. But one thing I noticed was in a lot of his movies like that, there's an interaction with the Catholic priest. And it's almost like he's always trying to rile the Catholic priest, because I don't think he depicts the Catholic priests at their strongest. So in $1 Million Baby, there's this young, brash Catholic priest who doesn't know how to handle the provocative Clint Eastwood. And Clint's always going to mass on Sunday and asking the priest really hard questions, and the priest is getting frustrated because he doesn't know how to answer it. And it's all sort of tongue in cheek. But I'm wondering if that sort of says something about Clint Eastwood's past or his personal life, because I think I've sort of noticed it in a few of his movies, and he's a brilliant actor and I think he does a great movie, but I wonder what his relationship with Catholicism is like. There you go.
Sounds like he's got a chip on his shoulder, hey?
I wonder.
It is slightly mocking, isn't it? It's a little bit mocking, but I think, it's a bit, I don't really want to spoil the film with the Gran Torino, but there is, I don't know. He does turn things around, if you like, and he makes. I mean, that priest, obviously, in the Gran Torino, has that kind of real wet behind the ears. Doesn't know really what he's talking about, and doesn't represent Catholicism very well. But okay.
But what I do like about the end is that to not to borrow from Bishop Robert Barron, but we
need to get you a T-shirt, man. So people know.
Yeah.
But it's the self-sacrifice of Clint Eastwood at the end of that film is quite inspirational. Why
not just tell everyone the movie? Why not just tell everyone?
Sorry, spoiler. I didn't give anything away, but it is quite a dramatic ending. Quite a dramatic ending. So great, Tam. So Gran Torino, Calamity Jane, and The Big Country.
And Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, and Pride and Prejudice. Beautiful. Yeah. Chris Sudlow, what do you got for us?
Ooh, hard to beat that. So mine probably aren't quite as salutary, shall we say? But I've got three, and I'm going to add a fourth because Tam was allowed. But my three initial ones that I picked were firstly The Shawshank Redemption, which is for the bringing out the heavyweight titles here.
Frame.
Yeah, Andy Dufresne. And so that's a story for anyone that doesn't know of a guy that's wrongly imprisoned for the murder of his wife. Makes me think of another film, actually, The Fugitive, which is also a cracking sort of similar sort of theme. But anyway, stay on track. Shawshank Redemption, it's kind of the story of him against all odds. Well, it's a prison break, basically. That's the story. But he goes through some really dark periods in the prison. He has to figure out how he's going to get out. And the end is just phenomenal.
There's a lot of dark mess at the end as well, isn't there?
Yeah. But again, not to spoil it, but it's not a film for kids either. There's a couple of bits in it which are need to be skipped forward. It's pretty raw, but it's powerful. So that's one of my favorites of all time. And then another one, to change tack completely, is a bit of a cult English film called Zulu, which stars Michael Caine. Okay, Tom likes that. Again, I think probably for the same reason, it's like a small number of misfit soldiers against like thousands of Zulus. I think in the Anglo-Boer War, it was the conflict that gained the most Victoria Crosses, which is it's the highest medal of gallantry in the British Army. And I'm pretty cynical. I think they gave that number of medals for publicity reasons. But anyway, that aside, it was about 100 soldiers, give or take, against about 4,000 or 5,000. And they survived. So it's a great film, some great acting in it, just pure kind of violence and kind of, but it's old school, so you don't see too much, and it's just it's not necessarily good versus evil. It's just a triumph in the face of adversity. And then my third one, which I'm not sure if it still is now my third one, but it's The Great Escape with Steve McQueen and a host of other.
This guy loves a classic. This guy.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, again, prison break, good versus evil in this instance, triumph in the face of adversity. But the plot is just magnificent. All these different characters are really, whoever directed it, they really brought out the characters. Anyway, so those are my sort of three that I chose. And then as we've been talking, I've been thinking of a couple of others. One of them is The Scarlet and the Black. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Story of all three of my last choices are based on true stories. The Scarlet and the Black is based on the story of an Irish Monsignor priest in the Vatican in World War II, who saves thousands of Jews by having a network of Italians that he used to sort of house these Jews in various different places. And I think he was honored by the chief rabbi of Rome after the war for having put his neck on the line, essentially. And there's an interesting twist towards the end of that as well, where one of the arch baddies converts to the Catholic faith, which is again a true story. So that's probably up there. Another classic, I think, is that Gregory Peck? I'm not sure, but
it is. Yeah.
So that's those are my films.
Have you seen the current theme going through there, Tom?
Sorry,
have you seen the theme that's currently going through?
A massive theme. I was going to pick up on that. Yeah.
So he's really suffering from lockdown, isn't he? He just wants to escape.
Yeah. It's all about escaping.
Yeah, but that's interesting because I mean we're all for drawing metaphors from things that we see and lessons, and that's such a theme I think that was consistent through at least most of those movies. Like you take Shawshank Redemption, and it's so powerful in terms of it's really you would watch that movie for the last 10 minutes. But what you have to go through to get to the last 10 minutes for it to be meaningful is literal hell. Like we don't want to give away the plot, but he's thrown into prison for a crime he didn't commit, and he goes through absolute hell in that prison, and it's rough and it's just absolutely horrible. Yet he just endures. And there are times when you think he's going around the bend. And I actually remember the first time I saw it, when it comes up to the climax of his escape beforehand, I sort of thought he'd cracked. I thought this guy, it's just, and they do it really, really well. It's the way his personality changes, the camera angles, the music. And I thought this guy's, it's got to him. And then he's
genius, absolute genius, isn't he?
Yeah.
To marry up your love of Clint Eastwood with Prison Break films, there's a great Clint Eastwood classic called Escape from Alcatraz.
Oh yeah.
Which is, it's not as good as the Shawshank Redemption, but it's a lot older, I think, and a lot darker. But again, story of apparently no one ever escaped from Alcatraz, but Clint Eastwood did.
Yeah. I think Clint Eastwood, like his spaghetti westerns aside, he got better as an actor the older he got. Like, the good, the bad, and the ugly, a few dollars more. You can't touch those. Like they're sacrosanct. But I think there were a couple of movies he did along the way that I was like, really, you can't ride your personality, who you are that much. But like, I think as he got older, just, such an iconic, such a good actor.
I forgot to mention, by the way, because I don't know if you agree with this, but I think the same thing about Charlton Heston, who's actually also in The Big Country. I didn't think much of his acting to begin with, but he's just such an amazing person. And like in Ben-Hur, he's pretty awesome. But
nails it, Ben-Hur, another classic. I mean, where do we stop?
Oh, I think though, what about the robe?
Would you agree that there was a period when actors rode on their reputation? Like you take John Wayne, and you can't touch John Wayne. Like if you insult John Wayne, in my mind, that's a capital crime worthy of capital punishment.
Yeah.
But was John Wayne a great actor? I don't know. He was just himself in every movie that he was ever in, and you can't touch that. Whereas I think maybe over time, the quality of acting has improved, so you can relate to it more. The movie's more engaging. But like back then, like you look at Charlton Heston, John Wayne, who's another massive actor from back then. Like Gregory Peck was a great actor. I don't think he ever did anything. I don't think he was ever in a role that he mucked up. But there were some actors back then, I think, that sort of just I'm not sure they did a lot with roles. They were just like, I'm Charlton Heston, and therefore this must be great. I don't know. What do you think?
I think there's some merit to that observation. Like, I'm thinking of a few of the films I've seen John Wayne in, like True Grit, and then there's a really old black and white one called Fort Apache, and he's the same guy basically.
But he was great in True Grit. You can't diss True Grit.
He was fantastic, great, absolutely fantastic film. But yeah, I think you've got a point. Does that take away from? I think it's just a different style, isn't it? The storylines are really good in those two instances, and then, like you say, I think acting's changed over the years. That's for sure. Maybe it's become a bit more of an art form. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he definitely had a presence on screen. I was thinking about The Quiet Man. Have you seen The Quiet Man?
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that's quite a powerful film anyway. I mean, you've got the Irish element, and but as far as acting goes, he's not up there in the same way, but that presence,
he's a legend.
The way he talks, get off your horse and drink your milk. I mean, it's just
go get the cactus over that away. It's just sorry, whatever. Uncle Mick can edit that out.
No, keep it in. You'll be getting calls from Hollywood or Amazon Prime. So Tom, what about yours?
Mine. Okay. Talk about raising the bar. Once again, there's been some real substance in what you guys recommended, and I'm about to disappoint everybody. No rhyme or reason to what I have recommended. Knee-jerk recommendations.
Oh God.
Moneyball. We've had these for a long time. It's still got the sticker on it from when we brought it. Moneyball.
That is a good one.
Great movie. Even better book. If you haven't read the book, go read the book and then watch the movie. Just great movie for guys, girls, anybody that likes sport. But it's also got that added layer of intricacy. Somebody that sort of figured out the system, looked at the established system and went, maybe it's just not up to scratch. And he outthought, he revolutionized the way the people play baseball. And he took a very, very poor Oakland Athletics baseball team that couldn't match, the big LA, New York teams due to budgets. And so he and this financial analyst work out this formula whereby for a fraction of the price, they can put together a team that is really, really competitive. And they go on and they create a new MLB record for win streak. I think they won 20 games straight. Now they lost in the World Series, but it's still a great movie. Brad Pitt, I really like Brad Pitt in some roles, and I think this was definitely one of his better alpha male roles. So
I have to just add quickly before we move on. Like, there's something interesting about those. I'm going to insist on using the word film rather than movie, but there's something interesting and gripping by those films about like financial analysis. I don't know why. Like, I'm thinking of that Moneyball, but also like The Big Short, and there's a couple of other cracking films about like the financial crisis. Margin Call. That's a classic. Yeah. But it's like, why? If you look at it from the outside, like, why would you be interested in watching something about like a financial collapse? But it's so interesting.
Oh, just watch it.
Anyway, sorry, I interrupt. Yeah. Go on.
Number 2. This is my one for you, Chris, and anybody else who is from the United Kingdom. Chariots of Fire will always be one of my favorite movies. Just that soundtrack, just that throwback to me. Like, I wish I'd gone to. Do they go? I think it's Cambridge University.
I have to hold my hand up and say I've never seen it.
Okay.
You can kick me off now.
Okay, you're gonna have to look at
Stop recording. Stop recording.
I know the famous scene of the chariots and the music.
There are no chariots.
Oh no! I'm just making a fool of myself.
Tam, have you seen that movie?
Well, you did say you hadn't seen it, so that's okay.
Tam, have you seen
I saw it a long time ago. You
have? Okay, all right. It's a great movie. It's a great movie. Everybody has seen this movie, so I don't need to explain it for them. For Chris.
Well, you do for Chris.
Go punish yourself.
Rule Britannia.
Yeah. So it's the crux of it. It's sort of 2 parallel stories. One is about I guess Eric Liddell was I guess you'd call him a Protestant athlete from Scotland, who ran for God, pretty much. And Harold Abrahams was a Jewish athlete with a chip on his shoulder.
Oh, okay.
And they both have parallel stories, and it's them both reaching the pinnacle, going to the Olympics, winning gold in their respective events. And it's sort of this begrudging respect they had for each other. And that's sort of all I'm going to say. It's a great movie. Okay. The music is great. The acting, the Poms don't know how to act poorly. That is my one criticism of the Poms. They just don't know how to act poorly. So it's a ripper movie. Do yourself a favor. Go see it. It's a classic. Now, if that is like a A-grade Pom movie, this is my cliche B-grade, one of my favorite movies of all time, American sports movies. It's called Miracle on Ice. It's about the Miracle on Ice was when the United States hockey team beat the unbeatable Soviet Union hockey team at Lake Placid Winter Olympics at the height of the Cold War. Such a sort of cliche, but great. If you love, Americans beating Russians and that sort of thing, and I very much do. I don't know why, but I do. Maybe it's the bit of American heritage there. Great sports movie. Couldn't recommend it well enough. And look, it's not bad. It's got Kurt Russell, who I love. Tombstone, sorry, tangent. Just if anybody's seen Tombstone, that's another great Western with Kurt Russell. Not that I'm recommending it, but whatever. Kurt Russell plays the coach of the American hockey team. Definitely add that one to your list.
That just makes me think, before you move on, that makes me think of Cool Runnings and the Mighty Ducks.
No. So no, I'm not going to lie, because before I'd seen this, the Mighty Ducks was the only ice hockey movie I'd seen. And so when I heard this was an ice hockey movie, I thought, oh, it's going to be silly. It's no. Give it a watch. It'll make you wish you were American.
I doubt it.
I don't think so.
Cinderella. Oh, it's back to front. Cinderella Man.
Oh, is that Russell Crowe?
Yeah, so it's a tribute to an actor who I haven't seen do anything good for a really, really long time, unfortunately, because he used to be one of my favorites. Like, I think Russell Crowe was such a, he acted in so many diverse roles, whether it was, Master and Commander, Maximus in Gladiator. He played sort of a crazy guy in A Beautiful Mind. And Cinderella Man, he plays James J. Braddock, boxer in New York, Bronx, in the middle of the Great Depression. Great movie. Once again, triumph in the face of adversity. They're always good. Thomas Newman soundtrack. Thomas Newman is probably my favorite movie composer. I wouldn't recommend a lot of the movies that he's composed scores for. But this one in particular, cracker of a movie. And then this is the representative on behalf of the three movies that it is representing. The Lord of the Rings. I just thought I had to do that. Lord of the Rings trilogy, arguably, to my mind, the greatest trilogy, neck and neck with two movies which are going to get honorable mentions. I think I wrote them down on my phone. One of the movies...
Because they're that memorable.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about Lord of the Rings because everybody knows them. So honorable
the Bourne films.
Honorable mentions, Bourne trilogy. That is definitely up there. The Godfather trilogy definitely fell off in the third one, but that is captivating. If, you can put up with conflicted Italian mafia Catholics that make you feel really weird about them being quite Catholic, but also not really Catholic. Great, suspenseful, thrilling, and a bit of a cult film, The Princess Bride.
Oh, yes. That should have been on my list.
I'm really glad. I sort of thought the way you were both going, I thought somebody was going to snap that up. Like you guys said some movies that I was going to say. What's been so good about this is we haven't actually crossed wires once.
No. But the themes are strong. I think the themes are the same.
I thought you were about to say the Force is strong. What is so good is nobody has said Star Wars, and I'm so glad. So I don't mind Star Wars. What do you guys think of Star Wars?
Go on, Tam.
I like the early ones. I know they're going backwards always, but as they sort of went newer, I didn't like them so much. I like really, really old-fashioned ones because they're just so crappy in the sense of the machinery and the R2-D2 and I really liked it. I like the hairdos and
I have to agree.
Not really bothered about the new.
I like the old ones, and I think it's a similar kind of world to Lord of the Rings in that if you launch yourself into the galactic empire and you kind of you get into it, then you're going to like whatever they produce. But the problem is, I think it slides massively with the more modern ones. And now you've got like totally woke agenda Star Wars films coming out, which is like, it's not even trying to hide that it's pushing a particular political agenda. So it's like waste of time, unfortunately.
See, that's what worries me. When I heard Amazon was starting to, they're producing a new Lord of the Rings series.
Really?
And I've read it.
Frodo will be gay, or he'll be a woman, and then Sauron will be a tortured soul who's actually a good guy, really.
Chris, I'm not sure how they can do that, but I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried.
They'll manipulate.
Let's watch the space.
They'll manipulate Tolkien.
Watch the space. Well, guys, I think that was really, really good. I'm happy that I think you guys have pretty good movie taste. I think I feel more comfortable about my movie taste now that I've shared that with you. And I think there was some good vibes flying around there. Any closing comments?
Well, my closing comment is like shame about Bishop Barron and you being a fan, but the fact that you like Princess Bride, you kind of back halfway. I think.
I have to confess my closing remark is I have not seen Princess Bride. Is it really good? Is it really up there?
Yeah.
I will. You need to watch it, and then you need to tell me what you think of it, and then I need to judge you based on what you tell me. It says a lot about you as a person.
It does, yeah. Like it's a bit like me not having seen Chariots of Fire, Tam.
It's pretty disappointing.
But I would say apparently I've not unfortunately done this, but apparently the book is very, very good.
Princess Bride.
Yeah, I've never read it, but obviously it's a cult film.
I thought it was
but,
just the kid.
No. It's actually a book, like The Princess Bride.
So that's why I read in the book.
I guess so. It's quite clever. It's one of those that's got layers on, like layers within layers. Like the more you watch it,
it's an adventure. It's What does he say? Swashbuckling, true love, giants, capture, death,
chases, escapes.
It's
true
great.
love.
It's
It's just full of one-liners as well. Like no more rhyming. Marriage. No more rhyming. Now I mean it. Does anybody want a peanut? Like things like that. It's like what?
You have to see it in context to understand why what Chris said is funny.
Thanks, Tom.
It is
Now, guys,
don't worry.
Before we close,
it's like a fairy tale, basically.
It's great. Yeah, it is great. And before we close, one more just sort of came into my mind that I saw for the first time.
I got one too.
Oh, this could go on. Okay, I'm gonna save mine. Tam, go in. What is it? What's yours?
Okay, because you mentioned Russell Crowe, and we haven't talked about wine on this, and I know we shouldn't, but because Russell Crowe, in a movie in about 2006, it's directed by Ridley Scott, and it's about him inheriting a vineyard in France. Have you never seen it?
What's it called?
A Good Year.
Oh.
A Good Year.
Yes. Yeah, really good film.
I really, really like that. I was quite surprised, but he's really good in it.
I'll have to give it a watch. Haven't seen it.
Can we do English movies? Can we just do English movies next time? Because I just think there's like a plethora of excellent actors, and from Snatch to Jason Statham film, all those sort of stuff.
Awesome. All right, let's wrap it up there and leave more for next time. It's been fun.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tom.